Alright, your Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration dot, Part 397, the Transportation Hazard Materials Driving and Parking Rules. Alright, Subpart A, General 1, Application Rules of Part 2, Compliance with Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulation 3, State, Local Laws, Ordinance, Regulations 5, Attendance and Surveillance of Motor Vehicles 7, Parking, 9, Reserve 5, 11, Fires 13, Smoking 4, 15, Fueling 17, Tires 19, Instruction Documents Subpart B, Reserve Subpart C, Routing and non-road radioactive hazard material 61, purpose scope. 63, applicability. 65, definitions. Motor carrier responsibility routing, highway routing designation preemption, federal standards. 71, 73, public information reporting requirements. 75, disputing resolution. 77, judicial review decisions. Alright, subpart D, routing class 7 radioactive materials. 101, requirements of motor carriers and drivers. 103, requirements of state routing designations. Subpart E, preemption procedures. 201, purpose and scope of the procedures. 203, standard for determining preemption. 305, preemption application. 207, preemption notice. 209, preemption processing. 211, preemption determination. 213, waiver preemption application. 215, waiver notice. 217, waiver processing. 219, waiver determination order. 221, timeless. 223, petition reconsideration judicial review. 225, Subpart A, General. 397-1, Application of rules of this part. The rules apply with each of the motor carriers engaged with the transportation hazard material motor vehicle that must be marked with the placard in accordance with 177-823 with the title in each of the officers and employees of the motor carrier who performs supervisor duties related with the transportation hazard material and each of the pattern operates charges motor vehicle of containing hazardous Each person designated with the paragraph of the A section must know the obey of the rules. 397-2 for the compliance with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulation, motor carrier, other person who is power of the applicable the most comply with the rules. 390 through 397 includes the subchapter with his or she reporting hazard material of the motor vehicle that must be marked with the placard in accordance with 177-823 of the title. 397-3 state and local law ordinances regulation. Each motor vehicle containing the hazard material that must be driven and parked in compliance with the law of the ordinance regulation of the jurisdiction in which the I being operated until the variance is specifically regulation Department of Transportation which are applicable to the operation vehicle with imposed the more stringent obligation restraints. 397.5 of the attendance and surveillance of motor vehicles, except the providing paragraph B of the section motor vehicle, which contains 1, 1, 1, 2, and 1, 3 explosive materials must be the division at the time the driver to qualified representative of the motor carrier operates. The rules, paragraph A of the section do not apply with the motor vehicle to contain the division 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3 material. All the following conditions: vehicles located with the property, motor carrier, the property of the shipper, the consignment of the explosive with the safe haven in case the vehicle containing 50 pounds of lead for the division 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3 material on the construction survey site. Laws of the bailor of the explosive is aware of the nature of the explosive of the vehicle containing that has been instructed in procedures which must be followed in emergencies, and the vehicles in which the bailor's own instructed field of the view is located at the safe haven. The motor vehicle containing the hazard material other than division 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3 material is located with the public street of the highway shoulders, a public highway. It must be attended with the drivers of however, the vehicle need not to attend with the drivers to perform the duty of the incident with the necessary driver's duties to operate with the vehicle. For purposes of this section, a motor vehicle is attended with the person with the charge of the vehicle. The vehicle is awake but not in the sleeper berth, or it is in 100 feet of the vehicle, however, which if there is obstructed field of view. A qualified representative of the motor carrier is the person who, with being designated with the carrier to attend the vehicle and aware of the nature of the hazardous material contained in the vehicle as he or she attends, has been instructed with the procedures that he or she must follow with emergency, and is authorized to move the vehicle has the means and ability to do so. Safe haven the area specifically approved with the writing of local, state, federal government authority parking an intended vehicle containing division 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 3 materials. The rules section does not relieve the driver of the obligation imposing the law relating to placing the warning device of the motor vehicle to stop in public street or the highway. 397-7, the parking. The motor vehicle must contain the division 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3 materials must be parked under any of the following circumstances: on or within 5 feet of the traveled portion of public street or highway, on private property, including premises, fueling, eating facility, without knowledge or consent of the person who is in charge of the property, who is aware of the nature of the hazardous material the vehicle contains, or within 300 feet of the bridge or tunnel dwelling of the people of the place where the people that work in congregate assembly, except for the brief the word period of necessity operation require the vehicle of the park to make it impractical to park of the vehicle in another place. A motor vehicle that contains hazardous material other than division 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3 hazardous material parked within 5 feet without travel the portion public street highway, except for the brief period of the necessity operation required vehicle to be parked and marked in and make it impractical to mark the vehicles in any other place. 397-9 reserve. 397-11 fires. Motor vehicle containing hazardous material must not be operated with the open fires unless the driver has first taken the precaution that the assertion of the vehicle can safely pass the fire without stopping. A motor vehicle containing the hazardous material must not be parked within 300 feet of an open fire. R39713, smoking. No person may smoke with the carry of the lighted cigarette, cigar pipe on any of the 25 feet of the motor vehicle class containing Class 1 materials, Class 5 materials, flammable materials, Division 2-1, Class 3 for Division 4-1 and 4-2, or an empty tank car motor vehicle that has been used in transportation through Class 3. Flammable materials are Division 2-1 flammable gases, which is to be used and required to be marked and placarded in accordance with the rules of 177-823 of this subtitle. Of this title. 397-15, fueling. The motor vehicle that contained with the hazardous material is being fueled. This engine must not be operating, and a person must be in control of the fueling process at the point where the fuel tank is filled. Alright, 397-17 with the tires. Driver them examine the tire of the motor vehicle, then begin with each of the trip of each of the time of the vehicle. As part of the result of the examination, pursuant to the paragraph A of the section, otherwise the tire is found to be flat, leaking, and properly inflated. The driver must cover the tire to be repaired, replaced properly inflated with the vehicle that's driven. However, the vehicle may be driven in the air safe place for the perform required to prepare replacement inflation. If it is a result of the examination pursuant to paragraph A of the section, otherwise true, the found with the overheated, the driver should immediately cover the overheated tire to be removed places the safety distance of the vehicle. The driver shall not be operating the vehicle until the cause of the overheating is corrected. Compliance with the rules section does not relieve the driver from the duty to comply with the rules of 397.5 and 397.7. 397-19, instruction and documents. Motor carriers of transport of Division 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, explosive materials must furnish the driver each of the motor vehicle which with the explosive of the transport of the following documents. A copy of the rules are reserved. A document containing instruction with the procedure followed in the event of the accident. The day of the docket must include the name of the telephone number of the person and include the representative of the carrier shippers to be contacted with the nature of the explosive being transported with the precaution to be taken in emergency such as fire, accident, leakage. Driver who received the documents according to the paragraph A of this section must sign with the receipt of them, and the motor carrier shall maintain the receipt with a period of 1 year of the day of the signature. Driver motor vehicle that contains Division 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3 with materials possession family within the compliance with the documents specified in paragraphs A of the section documents specified in 177-817 of this title. Written route plan specified in statute 397-67. Subpart B is reserved. Subpart C, routing of non-hazardous radioactive materials. Testing. Alright, subpart C, routing non-radioactive hazardous materials. 397-61, purpose of scope. The subpart contained with the routing of the requirements procedure for the state of the Indian tribe that required with the file with the established maintainment force. Routing designation over the non-radioactive hazardous material and quantity of the required with the placarding may or may not transport of the motor vehicle is also provided the regulation motor carriers transported, placarded, marked. Non-radioactive hazardous material to produce a dispute resolution regarding non-radioactive hazardous material routing designation. 397-63, applicability of the provision subpart apply with the state and Indian tribe that establish, maintain, and enforce and routine routing designation over the national non-radioactive hazardous material may or may not transported by motor vehicle. They also apply to any of the motor carrier that transports or cause the transported placard marked with the non-radioactive hazardous material commerce. Alright, 397-65, definition for the purpose of this problem, the following definition: Administrator of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the Chief Executive of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, Agency of the United States, the Department of Defense, Department of Transportation, his or designee commercial, any of its rate of the traffic transportation of the United States, which is between the place of the jurisdiction, state, and Indian tribe, and any of the place outside of the jurisdiction, and sole of the place of the jurisdiction, state, and Indian tribe, which is the effects of the trade traffic of the transportation described in subparagraphs A. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, Agency with the Department of Transportation, has material substance for the include the hazardous substance with the determined the Secretary of Transportation to be capable of posing unreasonable risk, health, and safety properly transported in comments with it has been designated Indian tribe, has been same meaning with contained in Section 4 of the Indian Self-Determination Education Act of Title 25 U.S. Standard Code 450B. Motor carrier for hire, motor carrier, private motor carrier property with the terms include the motor carriers, agents, officers of the representative as employees responsible for the hiring, supervising, training, assigning, dispatching of the driver's motor vehicle, any vehicle, the machine, the tractor, trailer, or semi-trailer, propelled, drawing, and a mechanical power, used the highways, and the transportation passenger of the property with the combination thereof. NRHM, non-radioactive hazardous material transported motor vehicle and types, quantities required with black card pursuant to Title 1 and 2 of the Title 49 CFR 172.504. Public, political subdivision, municipality, public agency, other instrumental, one or more state of the public or corporation, boarding, commission established under the laws of one or more states. Radioactive material that's defined in Title 49 CFR 173.405. Radioactive material means the material containing radioactive radionuclides, both in activity of the containing concentration of total activity consignment that exceed the value of the table of Title 49 CFR 173.436 value of the derived according to the instruction of Title 49 CFR 173.433. Routing agency, state highway agency, other agency ignited with the governor of the state of the agency designated with the Indian tribes to supervise, coordinate with the approved of the non-radioactive hazard material routing designation state and Indian tribe. routing designation, regulation, limitation, restriction, current or curfew, time of the travel, restriction, later, restriction, routine, banning, port, entry, designation, route weighing, restriction, applicable to highway transportation, non-radioactive hazardous material, over specific highway route, portion of route, Secretary of Transportation of the State, United States of the District of Columbia, of the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, Commonwealth of the Northern Marina Islands, Virgin Island, American Samoa, and Guam. Or Guam. 397 to 67, the motor carrier, responsibility of motor carrier transporting non-radioactive hazardous materials should comply with the non-radioactive hazardous material routing designation state of the Indian tribe pursuant to the subpart of the motor carrier carrying hazardous material required with the placard part margin according with the Title 49 CFR 177 823 non-subject to non-radioactive hazardous material designation purpose pursuant to the subpart shall operate the vehicle operating routes that do not go through the near heavily populated areas, places where the crowds assembly, tunnel narrows, streets, alleys, except where the motor carrier determines if there is no practical alternative to reasonable deviation from the necessary to reach the terminal points of loading or loading facilities for food, fuel, repairs, and safe haven. Reasonable deviation is required. Emergency condition for the detour has been established by highway authority. Situation exists for the law enforcement official with the driver to take with the alternative route operating in the convenience city, not a basis for determining whether the practical to operate motor vehicle in accordance with paragraph B of this section. Before a motor carrier requires permits, motor vehicle containing explosive class 1, division 111213 defined in Title 49 CFR 17350, 17353, respectively, operated with the carrier agent shall prepare the written route plan with the comply with the section, shall furnish the copy of the driver. However, the driver may prepare the written plan as an agent for the motor carrier if the trip begins location other than the carrier's terminal. 397 to 69, highway routing designation preemption. The state Indian tribe has established for the modify of the highway routing designation over the which the non-radioactive hazardous material may or may not be transported on or after November 1st, 1994, maintains and enforces such designations shall comply with the highway routing standards set forth in 397 71 subpart. For this purpose, subpart of the highway routing designation affecting the highway transportation non-radioactive hazardous material made with the political subdivision state is considered one made by the state, and all requirements of the subpart apply except as provided in 397-75 and 397-219. The non-radioactive hazardous material route designation violation paragraph A of the section preempted pursuant to Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 5125C. The highway routing designation established state political subdivision Indian tribe before November 14, 1994, subject to preemption according to the preemption standard of the paragraph A1 and A2 of 397-203. State political division political subdivision Indian tribe may petition a waiver of preemption in accordance with the 397-213 of this part. 397-71 federal standards. The state Indian tribe shall comply with the federal standards under the paragraph B of the section establishing, maintaining, and enforcing the non-radioactive hazardous material routing designation of the non-radioactive hazardous material may or may not be transported. The federal standards are followed. Enhancement of public safety state and the state Indian tribe shall make the finding of the support of the record that developed according to the paragraph B2 and B3-4 of the section of any of the non-radioactive hazardous material routing designation, public safety in the area subject to the jurisdiction in any other area of the directly affected in such a highway routing designation making and such a finding in the state Indian tribe should consider the factors listed in paragraph B9 of the section guidelines applying the criteria to designated route for the transportation hazardous material July 18, 1989, and most current version of equivalent routing and analyzing which adequately conversely overall risk of the public participation. Prior to the establishment of any of the non-radioactive hazard material routing designation, state or Indian tribe shall undertake the following action to ensure the participation public in the routing process. The state and Indian tribe shall provide the public notice of the proposed non-radioactive hazard material routing designation 30 days prior to which of the comment of the time during the period following review of the comments. Review the state and Indian tribe shall decide whether to hold the public hearing proposed the non-radioactive hazard material routing designation. The public shall be given within 30 days prior to the notice of the public hearing, which shall be conducted described in paragraph B2 of the section. Note that both the comment period with the public hearing and if one held shall be given the publication of leaf to newspaper. The general circulation affected the air shall contain the complete description of the proposed routing designation, together with the date and time location of the public hearing, the notice of both the comment period of the name of the public hearing published in the official register. If it's determined that the public hearing is necessary for the state of the Indian tribe shall hold at least one public hearing on the record during the public hearing, affording the opportunity to present views of the information of the data related to the proposed non-radioactive hazardous material routing designation state made available to the public to the payment of the described costs consisting of the transcript of the hearing. Consultation with the others prior to the establishment of the non-radioactive hazard material routing the state and Indian tribe shall provide a notice of the consult with the official affected political subdivision, state, Indian tribes, and any other affected parties such as the acts shall include the following. At least 60 days of the prior to the establishment route designation, state Indian tribe shall provide the notice of the rating and the proposed routing of the designation of the official responsible highway rating and all other affected state Indian tribes a copy of the notice for the be sent and not affected to all affected subdivision political subdivision or shall request approval of the writing by the state Indian tribes of the proposed routing designation if no response is received in the 60 days of the receipt installation under the paragraph is conducted if it's left at the discretion of the state and the Indian tribe. 3. The state and the Indian tribe shall attempt to resolve any of the concern or disagreement expressed and solve the official regulated proposed routing designation. Or the state Indian tribe shall keep the record with the name of the address for the official notified of the pursuant of the section any of the consultation meeting with the conducted with these officials, the representatives such of the records, describe any concerning the disagreement expressed within the official such and any action undertaken to resolve and a disagreement in any of the concern. All right, through routing, establishing the non-radioactive hazard material routing designation, state Indian tribe shall ensure that through the highway routing of the transportation of non-radioactive hazard material being adjacent to the area of the term and through the highway routing and issue of this paragraph meaning for the routing designation must ensure the continuity of the movement and not impede the unnecessary delay of the transportation of non-radioactive hazard material. The state Indian tribe utilize the procedure established in paragraph B2, B3 of the section meeting the requirements. In addition, the state of the Indian tribe shall make the finding supporting the risk analysis conducted in accordance with the paragraph B1 of the section of the routing designation enhances the public safety. The risk analysis shows that the current routing presents at least 50% of the more risk of the public of the deviation over the proposed routing designation than the proposed routing designation may go into effect. The current routing represents the greater risk, less than 50% of the more of the public of deviation under the proposed routing of the restriction. The proposed routing restriction made by the state or Indian tribe shall only go into effect does not deviation over more than 25 miles result with an increase of more than 25% of the part of the trip affected the deviation, whichever the short for the most part directly from the jurisdiction compared with the intended deviation. The current route that has less risk of the public than deviation result of the proposed routing designation. The routing designation shall not be allowed. Agreement with other states burden of the with the non-radioactive hazardous designation effect with another state with the Indian tribe to establish with the maintain and to enforce on it. It does not unreasonably burden the commerce. It is agreed to effective with the state Indian tribe within 60 days receive the notice pursuant to the paragraph B3(1) section. Prove the administrator pursuant to 397-75. Timeliness establishment of the non-radioactive hazard material route designation of the state Indian tribe shall be completed within 18 months of the notice given either in paragraph B2 or B3 of this section, whenever it occurs first. Reasonable routes and terminal other facilities establishing, providing reasonable access for the designated routes of the state of the Indian tribe shall use the source practical routes to consider the factors listed in paragraph B9 of the section. Establish no non-radioactive hazard material routing designation. State Indian tribe shall provide the reasonable access of the motor vehicle transportation non-radioactive hazard material to reach terminals, points of loading and unloading, pick up at the delivery facility, the food for repair within safe havens. 8. Responsible local compliant with the state head shall reply with ensure that all the political subdivisions comply with the provisions of subpart. The state shall be responsible for resolving all disputes between the such political subdivisions in their jurisdiction. If the state any of the public subdivision thereof, the Indian tribe can choose to establish, maintain, and enforce any of the non-radioactive routing designations. The governor of the Indian tribe shall designate the routing agency for the state and the Indian tribe respectively, and a route routing agency shall ensure the non-radioactive hazard material routing designation within jurisdiction comply with the standards of the section. The state Indian tribe shall comply with are the public information reporting requirements contained in 397-73 factors to consider establishing non-radioactive hazard material routing designation. State Indian tribe shall consider the following: population density of the population potentially exposed with the native radioactive hazard material relief established with the density of the resident, the employee, with the motorists and other persons in the area of the using the United States census tract maps and the other reasonable means for determining the population with a potential impact zone along with the designated highway route, the impact zone with the potential range of effects of the event of the release of specific pollution with the school, the hospitals, prisons, centers, senior citizens' home shall, among all the other things, be considered for the determining of the potential risk of the population from the highway routing. Consideration should be given the amount of the time during the areas will experience the heavy population density. 2. The type of highway. The character for each of the alternative non-radioactive hazard material highway routing designation should be compared with the vehicle waiting list size, limited owner, path of the bridge, compared to the roadway, geometric number of lanes, degree, access control, medium shoulder structures. Example, the characteristics the state of the Indian tribe shall consider. 3. Type of the quantity of non-radioactive hazard material examination should be made with the type of the quantity of non-radioactive hazard material normally transported along the highway routes which are included with the non-radioactive hazard material routing designation. Consideration should be given the relative impact of the zone, risk, each type of the quantity. 4. Emergency response capabilities, constellation, proper fire, law enforcement, highway and safety agency consideration given the emergency response capabilities with it may be resolved in the non-radioactive hazard material routing designation. Analyzing emergency response capabilities should be based on proximity of the emergency response facilities exposed, capability containing suppress of the non-radioactive release of the impact zone. Alright, 7. Resolve of the constellation effect of the person consideration shall be given to comments concerning all of the affected person and the entity to provide with during the public hearing constellation conducted in accordance with this section. 6. Exposure to the other risk of the state and the Indian tribe. The defined exposure risk of the associated with the non-radioactive hazard material routing designation. The distance over the sensitivity of the air. The conserve of the sensitive areas, but are not limited to homes, commercial buildings, special populations, hospitals, schools, handicap facilities, prisons, stadiums, water sources, other stream, lakes, and the natural areas such as parks or wetlands, wildlife reserves. The seventh, terrain consideration, topographic along with the adjacent proposed non-radioactive hazard material routing designation may affect the potential of the severity of any of the accident dispersion of the non-radioactive hazard material upon relief. The control of the clean non-radioactive hazard material release shall be considered. 8. Continuing with the continuity of routes, adjacent jurisdiction resolve with the ensure of the routing condition of the non-radioactive hazard material common borders and deviation must direct route shall be minimized. 9. Alternative routes considering shall be given alternative routes resulting in non-radioactive hazard material route. The designating alternative routes shall be examined, reviewed, and evaluated extent necessary to demonstrate the most probable the alternative route resulting in routing designation safe for the current routing. 10. Effective the common for the non-radioactive hazard material designation made in accordance with the subpart shall not create the unreasonable burden of the interstate with the interstate commerce. Delays in transportation non-radioactive hazard material routing designation may create unnecessary delay with the transportation of non-radioactive hazard material. Climatic conditions, even conditions, the unique highway routing, such as snow, wind, ice, fog, and other climate conditions, could affect the safety of the road, safety of the route, dispersion of non-radioactive hazard material upon release, increase the difficulty of controlling it and cleaning it up shall be given approximate consideration. 13. Considers congestion in accident history, traffic conditions, unique highway routing, traffic conditions, accident experience, motor vehicle traffic consideration shall affect the potential accidents, exposure of the public to any release ability to perform emergency response operation, temporary closing of highway cleanup, any response release of given appropriate consideration. 397 to 73, public information reporting requirements. Public information non-radioactive routing designation must be made available to safe and Indian tribe of the public with the form of the map listing the road sign with some of the combination thereof. If the road signs are used, the sign with the placement must be compliant with the provisions of manual of the Uniform Traffic Code. This is the street highways published in the Federal Highway Administration, particularly with the hazardous cargo signs identified the R14.2 and R14.3 shown with the 2B62 of this manual publication may be accessed free of charge of the internet of the CD at Federal Highway Federal Highway Administration.gov, reporting publishing requirement of each state Indian tribe through the routing agency that provided information with the non-radioactive hazard material routing designation exists with the jurisdiction electronically by email, HMR routing.gov, mail the Federal Motor Carrier Administrative Office of Enforcement Compliance, 1200 New Jersey Avenue, Southeast Washington, D.C. State Indian Tribe shall also submit the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration current name of the state Indian Tribe agency responsible for the National Hazardous Road National Non-Hazardous Radioactive Material Highway Routing Designation. State Indian Tribe then shall include the description of these routing designations along with the dates and the established information that any subsequent change of the new non-radioactive hazard material routing designation shall be furnished within 60 days of establishment of Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration by information available to the Federal Motor Carrier Station. Consolidated with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, published annually, hold the update of the Federal Register. Each state and Indian tribe may also publish information of the official register state of the tribal regulations. State and tribally designated route effectively only after the publishing Federal Register in the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration Hazardous Material Route Registry. 397 to 75, the dispute resolution petition. One or more states and Indian tribes may petition the minister to resolve the dispute relating to the agreement that proposed national non-radioactive hazard material rerouting designation, resolving the dispute with the petition administrator to provide the greatest level of safety possible with the unreasonable burden of commerce to the ensure with the compliance with the federal standard of 397 and 71 of this subpart filing. Each petition disposition resolution filing under this section be submitted to the administrator of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, 1200 New Jersey Avenue, Southeast Washington, D.C. None of the state Indian tribe to file petition, other state with a public subdivision Indian tribe of the national non-radioactive hazard material routing designation subject to the dispute containing certification from the petition complied with the notification requirements of paragraph C of the section, include a list of the name and address of each of the state with the political subdivision Indian tribes who to notify the filing of the petition, clearly set forth the dispute with the resolution. Application of how to dispute the routing name. And P with the highway routing and the routing designation beginning with the disputed resolve of the alternative routing comparative the risk of the analysis of this route and this designated route resolving alternative routing shall provide to describe any action taken with the state Indian tribe to resolve the dispute, explain the reason why the petitioner believe the administrator shall then intervene with the resolving the dispute. 7. Describe any of the proposed action the administrator shall take to resolve the dispute and how these actions would provide the greatest level of highway trans safety without unreasonable burden commerce would ensure the compliance of the federal standards established in this part. Note 1. Any of the Indian tribe in the file with the petition of the dispute resolution of the subpart shall be mailed with a copy of the petition. Any affected state of the public subdivision Indian tribe accompanied by state, state political subdivision Indian tribe may be submitted the comments regarding the petition at the administrator within 45 days. By serving notice to any other state public subdivision Indian tribe to determine if the administrator possibly affected with the issue of the dispute with the resolution sought by a publication Federal Register, administrator may afford the person an opportunity to file the written comments and petition. Any affected state of the public subdivision Indian tribe submitting the written comments administrator with respect to the petition filed under section shall send a copy of the comments of the petition or certify that the administrator having complied with the requirements. Administrator may notify other persons participating in the proceed with the comments, provide the opportunity of those other persons to respond. Court action. Any petition of dispute resolution in the FISFIL within accordance with the section, no court action may be brought with respect to the subject matter of such a dispute until the final decision has been issued by the administrator until the last day of the 1 year period beginning with the administrator received the petition, whichever occurs first. Alright, hearings, alternative dispute resolutions. Upon receipt of the petition filed with the pursuant paragraph A of the section, the administrator may schedule the hearing with the attempt to resolve the dispute. With the hearing of the schedule will notify all the parties of the dispute with the day and the time and the place of the hearing. During the hearing of the parties may be or if there any information pertaining to the resolution of the dispute, and if any agreement is reached with the stipulated with the parties, the writing of the administrator agree with the made part of the decision paragraph F of the section. No agreement is reached. Administrators may make no matter under consideration announce his or her decision in accordance with the paragraph F of the section. Nothing in this section shall be construed the prohibiting party for the selecting, disputing, seeking other methods, alternative dispute resolution prior to the final decision. Administrator F decisions. The administrator will be in the decision based on the position written comment has been submitted with the parties records hearing any other information in the record. The decision was included with the written statement that set forth in relevant facts, legal basis for the decision. Record of the administrator will serve the copy of the decision upon the position any other party with participating in the procedure. Per copy for each of the decision will place on the file public document. The administrator may publish the decision and the notice of the decision in the Federal Register. 397-77, if the judicial dispute the decision any state Indian tribe adversely affected the administrator of the decision. But 397-75, the support of the seek of the review the appropriate district court of the United States under the proceeding of the filing petition, which the court is within 90 days after the decision becomes final. Subpart D, routing class 7 radioactive materials. I'm going to cut the tape right there.